welcome to episode number 6 of Real&Raw Conversations with Shalina. But first, an acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture, the hopes and dreams of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and elders, past, present and emerging. For it is their land on which I work, live, love and conduct business. And it is their continuing connection to land, water, sea and community that I will always recognise and uphold. I am committed to and will continue to celebrate, honour and respect Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's cultures, stories, traditions, as well as their unique cultural and spiritual relationships to country. Sovereignty has never been ceded. It always was and forever will be Aboriginal land. So, disclaimer. Everything I talk about when I come live is a personal experience, and it's pretty much me turning pain into purpose. It's me trying to reach people who might be in a similar situation to myself and people who are interested in learning the different lives and the different pains that we live through. Now, me being a woman, some people think that I am favoring women. So let's get one thing straight. I do not believe that all women are saints, and I do not believe that all men are sinners. Now, yes, in my father's eyes, my father is a sinner because he abandoned a child. If my mum had done that, she would be a sinner too. So, and I would be talking about purposeful motherlessness. So let's get on with it. Tonight I am talking about how you could prepare yourself if you are meeting your father for the first time. And this can also relate to seeing an absent mother, an absent sibling for the first time. But like I said, me talking about my personal experiences means that I'm going to be talking about my, meeting my father for the first time. So number one, who could you talk to? Now, before I get on with it, the first thing I want to say is that whatever you choose to do is your prerogative. I'm not here to tell you what you must or must not do. It's simply, I'm just guiding. I'm just a friend who is offering an experience. Now, you are the author of your own life, and you choose the words and you choose the chapters. So number one is who you could talk to before you are about to visit a absent father, absent parent. Now, I highly recommend speaking to a professional before you do this. A counselor or a psychologist who is trained in, relationships, absent parents, somebody who is a trauma counselor. They will give you coping mechanisms. And the reason I say this is because once you meet an absent parent, it can change you. You can't unmeet a person. And the day that you do this will most likely be a day that you won't forget. And every emotion of yours is valid. It'll probably be a roller coaster of emotions, but remember, there is no, right or wrong. And every single thing that you feel is valid. Now, obviously, I would tell you to, speak to a family member if it is possible. However, sometimes your mothers, step-parents, family members, they might not be too thrilled about this. They might not even be wanting you to go and see your parent, your absent parent, and they might try and physically stop you. They might threaten you. They might emotionally manipulate you. They might harm you or threaten to harm you. So if you can't speak to them, perhaps you can try a trusted friend or a work colleague, somebody you look up to. Maybe it's a school or college professor, a teacher, anybody that you feel like you can trust. Now, if you've got nobody who you think cannot take you to see this person, or you just feel like you've got nobody, you can speak to maybe your local community centre. You can try and reach out to a social worker, or you can contact mental health lines in your country or state who might be able to guide you. For example, in Australia, you've got, Beyond Blue, 1-800-RESPECT, Headspace, things like that. So there are places you can contact who can be of support to you. Now, whoever you choose to speak to and whatever you choose to do is your prerogative. But remember, you need to be safe mentally and physically. You need to be safe. So if you know that you're going to be in danger, if you were to tell somebody that you want to see your dad, for whatever reason, you're going to be in danger, then it's probably not a good idea to tell them. But you are the best judge of this. So with due diligence, make your decision. Now, parents, What can you do as a parent if your child is about to see an absent parent for the first time? Now, I'm talking to you parents now. If your child has reached out to you and they want to see their absent parent and you're not sure of what to do and what to say and how to react, firstly, you need to know that this is such an important step for a child to see their absent parent. When I say child, I don't mean, a 5 or a 10-year-old. It can be anybody who is your offspring is your child, okay? So I don't mean any ages here when I say child. I'm just using it as a generic term. So, for a child, it is a way to get closure. It is a way to get answers. It is a way of figuring the truth out for themselves. And you owe it to them. You owe it to them to not be an obstacle in their path. As a parent, you owe your child the truth and nothing but the truth. Did you keep them away from the father? Did the father leave? Does the father have their own new family now? You owe them the truth, which is not your truth. I'm talking about the literal, actual truth. And sometimes there's a blurred line between your truth and the actual truth. And the truth is needed now more than ever when your child is wanting to see their absent parent. If you are unsure of how you can support your child, whatever age they are, ask them. Literally ask them, how can I support you? What is it that I can do to support you? And this is the part where you need to listen to them because it's not about you right now. It's actually about the child. Chris Malika says a very relevant question. Thank you for watching. Now, you also need to consider maybe seeing a psychologist. Now, that doesn't mean that, there's something wrong or anything like that. But the reason why I'm saying to see a psychologist is because, especially a child trauma expert would be even better, is because it can help you understand your child's emotions because you're not in their mind, but somebody who's trained in it will be able to explain it. And they'll also be able to tell you how to best deal with the situation because growing up with an absent parent is traumatic. It is absolutely traumatic. You yourself, as a parent, you can call nationwide mental health support lines as well because your child needs you as a support system. And whether they want to see their dad, whether you want them to see their dad or not, that is not your call. That's their call. And they need that space and that freedom to make their own informed decision. And, it's a very crucial step in their lives that they're taking. If you don't want to go with them, you can simply arrange for somebody else in the family to go. Not wanting to go or not wanting to take them is not an excuse for prohibiting them from seeing their absent parent. Now, your child has every right in the world to see their father. It's a natural desire. I had that desire. I couldn't rid myself of that desire. And there's nothing wrong with it. So whatever feelings you have towards your ex-partner, husband, boyfriend, whoever this person is, you need to deal with your feelings in a healthy way and seek support. Because if you don't do that, you won't be able to be a support system for your child and you are going to release your anger and your frustrations on the child. And that's not right. And neither is lying to them. So parents, if your child wants to build some sort of a relationship with this absent father, or if they don't want to build a relationship with this absent father, it's their call, not yours. So my fatherless brothers and sisters, once you get through the first hurdle, which is, thinking about who to talk to, who you can approach, and, if your father has not contacted you and, maybe you're the one that needs to, this leads me to point number 3. Initiating contact or dealing with rejection. So your prerogative, you can initiate contact indirectly through somebody. It might be less daunting, or you can do it directly. So indirectly means through social media if you're able to find them, through a text if you've got their number, a letter if you have their address, a relative, a friend, pretty much a third party is what I'm trying to say. This way you can gauge how responsive he is. Does he want to be in contact with you? Is he open to meeting? Is he not? And, if he's not open to meeting, that itself is going to open up a lot of wounds. Initiating contact without physically rocking up to his work or his home might be able to help you gauge what you can expect from him and see his openness to meet. You don't need to contact him indirectly. You can go straight for it if you want. You can call him, or you can do what I did. Don't plan anything. Don't tell anyone anything except one friend. Don't plan the date and time and decide on the morning that you wake up that you're just gonna rock up to his house. That's what I did. I went all Hollywood on him. I literally rocked up at his house, directly to his house. And when he saw me, I saw the look of like surprise, confusion, and shock on his face. And I also had to spell out to him that I was his daughter, which in his defense, I mean, I guess he didn't wake up that morning expecting to see me. So now I went with a very trusted male friend of mine, and he knew my pain very well. He has seen me at my worst. And you know who you are. I told you this today as well. I am forever grateful because I could not have done this without you, honestly. So thank you. Now, back to initiating. If you haven't met him yet, be prepared that after all this, after you contacting him, after you mentally preparing yourself, you may never meet. You might change your mind. He might not even want to meet. You never know. And sometimes that itself feels like rejection and abandonment. It is. It's a form of it. And you know, you yourself, you might be filled with anger and rage because he does not want to meet. Maybe he's remarried with another family and is happy there and does not want to have any complications. Maybe he got married and moved on, like my dad did. Maybe he'll say yes and then decide he doesn't want to meet you. Maybe he doesn't know you exist. So, and he wasn't prepared for you either. So it's important not to have high expectations or even expectations at all, because you're going to be disappointed. You know, and if this is the case that you have been let down because he doesn't want to see you, or, you know, you met him and things didn't go in a positive direction, it is so important that you find a safe space for yourself. Now, being let down again, that is rejection, that is trauma, and it's a pain on a different level. Let me just say that, you know, going through something like this alone, it's a cold, cold, dark world when you go through something like this alone. And I've been there. I did meet my dad. So I met him. He blocked me. I can't reach him. And this happens. You know, there are fathers who choose to cut off people after they have met them. And, you know, I'm going to tell you something right now. I have a half sister. And because of him, I can't have a relationship with her. And it burns me. It absolutely burns me. So the chances are she's going to grow up thinking that I didn't care about her. I abandoned her. Everything that I'm saying right now, I rejected her. And that is absolutely not true. So just so you know, my little sister, when I found out that you existed, and when I saw you for those brief, I can't even remember how many minutes they were when I rocked up at your house, just so you know, I had nothing but love for you. I absolutely have nothing but love for you. I have not abandoned you or rejected you, and I'm right here if you want to reach me. Once you realize who I am right here. And don't believe everything you've been told, because I'm not the enemy. Now, anyways, after my dad blocked me, which felt like rejection, so I felt like I had to deal with this rejection. Alcohol, music, and poetry were my best friends, right? And I knew I wasn't alone, but I didn't want to talk. And I wasn't open to speaking to a professional. And it took me 2 years to do that. And now I know that I probably should have seen one earlier. I wish I had. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that if something doesn't work out once you initiate, and with a therapist, if it doesn't work out with the first therapist that you meet, go to another one. You will find somebody that you resonate with, and it's not going to feel like it was a waste of time. You know, it is, your mental health matters, and this is a big part of your mental health. Now, this leads me to something that we all as humans do, fantasy versus reality. So say you're meeting him, right? Say you're meeting him, and we as humans, we have this, it's just a basic human nature thing to do, is to, you know, create fantasies and scenarios up in our minds. Fantasy versus reality. I created a fantasy in my mind of what it was going to be like when I was going to see my dad. What is he going to say? What am I going to say? How is this conversation going to go down? Where am I going to meet him? Am I going to punch him? Like, I had all these thoughts in my mind of what I was going to do, what I felt like doing. And we all have this, we all have ideal situations. And I realized my ideal situation was not going to manifest. It did not. And it was not. And this is why I say speak to a mental health professional, because they are an independent third party and they can help mentally prepare you, which is never a bad thing. Now, I'm not saying that what you've been told about him is right or wrong. Whatever your lack of relationship is with him, it's going to be different with other people in his life. And it might be indicative of what you can expect from him, if and when you do choose to meet him, or if you're able to meet him, if he wants to meet you, you know. And you need to be prepared that you will hear uncomfortable truths. It could be a pack of lies. It could be excuses. It could be the real truth that you have not been told. You know, it could be a confirmation of everything you've been told. And the fact of the matter is, you're not going to know until you go and meet him. And being prepared mentally before you go, the possibilities, it's going to help you in the way that you respond and perceive what happens on that day, at that second that things happen. And I went there, when I wanted to go and meet my dad, I went there with the hope that I'm going to get an apology. I did not get an apology. And I think that was the biggest thing that I hoped for. There was no apology. Excuses, yes, but no apology. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get a sincere apology. I'm just telling you what happened when I went. Now, but you also need to go there with an open mind. So I don't mean forget everything that you were told, but you know, it could be true. But the thing is, you are going to see your absent parent for a reason. And you need to allow your absent parent the time to give you the reasons that you are wanting. And you may not hear everything you want to hear, but you're going there for a reason. And remind yourself of that, you know, when you are face to face. See, I didn't prepare myself at all. I woke up on the 23rd of April. It was a Saturday, 2016. I woke up and I thought, yep, all right, I'm going. I'm going to meet my dad, and there is not a goddamn thing anybody can do about it. Only thing I had was his address. And the thing is, he had a very common name, and I had 3 addresses that I could have chosen. The first one I went to, he wasn't there. The second one, me and my friend were in the car. I had the option to go left or right. He said, Leah, let's go left. I go, all right, I'm going to drive to the address on the left. I went. And that was my dad's house. And growing up, I always told myself that when I see him, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that and I'm going to react like this. I'm going to behave like this. And let me tell you, 80% of what I conjured up in my brain was not what happened. And fantasy versus reality is like expectation versus disappointment. You need to protect your heart and your mind. And the more prepared you are, the more you will be able to deal with it in maybe a different way. I did not prepare myself. I went on an impulse. My mum didn't know. I came home and then was like, by the way, I went and saw him, and my mum was like, oh. So I don't recommend doing that. But like I said, everything you do, that is your prerogative. Now, before the meeting, let me take a sip of my water. Okay, before the meeting, it is important that you look after yourself physically. And I'm talking adequate food, sleep, exercise. All these things play a part in your comfort when you go to see him, or your irritability. What is it? Irritability. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce it. Now, you're not going to be able to function if you don't sleep or if you don't eat properly. So if exercise is a part of your routine, go and do it. Make sure you are physically okay, because this is going to mentally drain you. I'll tell you that now. If you have medications, make sure you take them. And the reason I'm saying this is because times like this, you are so overwhelmed by what's about to happen and the things that you have thought of in your mind that you might forget. And it's very easy to forget, especially when you're, so absent-minded. Now, there are going to be emotions running through your mind like no tomorrow. And, you may forget certain things. So write a list down if you have to, if that helps. See your counselor or psychologist that morning or the night before. Arrange a phone call if you can. Ask your mum, your family, your relatives, whoever's around you. Ask them if there's anything else you need to know. Because sometimes people are very good at keeping secrets. That doesn't mean they're going to tell you, but ask them. You never know. Also, remember that at the end of the day, you're doing this for you, not for anybody else. There's a reason why you are doing this. Just remember that. Sometimes you can get cold feet. I did that. I got cold feet. I saw him twice. The first time was when I rocked up at his house, but the second time was an actual meet, a proper one, because the first time was me crying a lot. Now, you deserve the answers that you are seeking. Whatever they are, you deserve to be provided with them. But that doesn't mean you're going to like the answer. That doesn't mean that there's going to be a justification for the absence. But you're there for the truth. And, you are meeting for a reason. You may not be able to get all the answers that you want in a day. So there is always another day if you want. That's your call. You can organize this as a 2-day thing. You can meet over Zoom if you want. It's your call. Nobody else's. Now, going with the mind state of, I need to forgive, it's not something you need to do. I'm not going to say you should not do this. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm just saying it's something you probably do not need to do, because you might end up bypassing all your emotions, suppressing them subconsciously instead of acknowledging them, and believe that you've forgiven when you may not have. I grew up with this belief system that if I forgave my dad, if I went and met him and forgave him, I'm going to be, happy within the depths of my soul. And it was just like, no, that's not how it worked. For me, that doesn't mean forgiveness is not going to work for you. But going through everything that you need or want in your mind, discussing it with a trusted person, a day before, on the day, on the morning, days before, whatever, it might help take the edge off, because I can resonate with how daunting it can be to meet an absent parent for the first time. Now, during the meeting, focus on your breathing. I remember when I went and when I saw him, my heart was pounding. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know what it feels like when your heart pounds after drinking coffee, but let me tell you, after the black tea that I drink, my heart was pumping. I couldn't stop it. And at that point, I wasn't, into the whole breathing and calming down. That was not my personality. So if I could give you any sort of advice while you are literally face to face with him, focus on your breathing. Take sips of water. Go to the bathroom when you need to. Don't hold it, because you're going to be uncomfortable. When I met him, I first met him at home when I rocked up, and the second time was at a safe public place with another friend who I also messaged today, thanking him for being there all those years ago. And, you don't need to share everything about yourself straight away. I didn't. I didn't share much about myself because I was there to hear about him. It wasn't about me. Well, it was about me hearing the truth, but you get the point. Now, you don't need to share your full name, where you work, your change of name, your address. He might be your dad, but if you've never met him, he's still a stranger. You don't need to give out all this information. It's your call. I'm just saying. Take breaks for fresh air if you need to. If you need to do it, it's whatever makes you comfortable. You need to do that. Now, if you think that you're going to forget what you need to ask him, write a list of questions. Take legal documentation with you if you need to. I did. I took a whole folder of it. And when I tried to point to him and be like, hello, can you explain this? He had nothing to say. So that pretty much summed up who he was in a nutshell. Set an alarm on your phone if you need to take medication at a certain time. Don't let something like this take you over, that you forget all the necessary things that you need to do for yourself, is what I'm trying to say. Now, this might sound far-fetched, but you have to be safe wherever you go and whoever you're with. So I would suggest not going alone, but if you choose to do that, and if you choose to eat, drink, take your bag, don't leave it unattended. I'm not saying that he's going to spike your food or your drink, or he's going to steal something from you, but I'm also not saying that he won't do it. You can't trust people. That's the unfortunate truth. You can't trust people. So even if you feel like, oh, but he's my dad, you don't know. So now, after the meeting, make sure you have a support system. I had one. I was lucky I had one. I knew I had one. And, please don't feel like you need to make a decision straight away. Like, whether you want to meet again, whether you want to text him, whether you want to call him. You don't need to make a decision straight away. You should not be rushed or forced into anything. I remember when I came home from meeting him the second and final time, it was the only time I ever met him again in 2016. My mum was like, how did it go? What happened? I didn't even want to talk. And she respected that. She was like, okay, well, when you're ready to talk, you will. But, I didn't feel like talking and I didn't. You don't need to make grand plans. If he starts saying things like, oh, I'm going to come to your, graduation or this or that, you don't need to make grand plans with him if you don't want to. You might walk away disgusted after everything, like I was. Or you might walk away wanting to know more. So you owe it to yourself to figure out what it is that you want to do. And you can discuss it with your friends, your family, independent third party, like I said, counselor, trauma counselor, somebody like that. Write it down. Unleash how you're feeling in creativity. That's what I did. I went home and I wrote a 4-page poem. I still have it somewhere. Write a song, write an article, paint, draw, do something creative. If that's what helps you, do it. Because when you are, and me being a creative person, making music and things like that, when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling depressed, I turn to creativity and it helps me channel my pain and my anger that way. It might help you. Go to the gym. Stay home and watch a movie. Do whatever you need to do without pressure. Disconnect from social media if you need to, because whatever you choose to do and however you feel is valid. And the reason why I keep using the word valid here is because many times people dismiss feelings by thinking it's only temporary. Oh, I'm just temporarily upset with him. I'm just temporarily feeling like this. Okay, it's temporary. Feel it. It's valid. And allow yourself the time to feel it. There's no shame in it. You do what it is that you want to do and however it is that you want to feel. Now, if you choose to continue on contacting him, or if there is some sort of contact, setting boundaries and expectations may help you. So this is your call. You choose your boundaries. This is all about you. For example, you can choose when you're going to visit, when you're going to talk on the phone, when you're going to text. Have schedules if you need to. It will give you a chance, if you want, to create a relationship. If you want. Ball's in your court. But keep in mind that when it comes to expectations, there's a chance that your relationship may not flourish with him. And you need to keep that in mind. It might turn out to not be what you fantasized it to be. And that is the issue that happened with me. What I thought was going to happen versus what actually happened were on two different ends of the scale. And, maybe you're going to need to give it time, or you might realize that, this isn't even worth my time. You might come to that realization, but whatever it is, you need to do whatever's comfortable for you. Give it time. And if you want to, maybe you can keep your family and friends in the loop so they can support you, or discuss with your counselor what you can do. But it's all about you. Journal it. Journal how you're feeling. Sometimes, and I've noticed this so many times, when you're feeling something, when you get it out of your mind and you get it onto paper, it actually helps. I'm not saying it helps everybody, but it can help. But setting boundaries it'll help you in making your own informed decisions of how you want to proceed in this relationship, if you want there to be one. Now, number 9 is no further contact. So, if there is no further contact, he doesn't want to talk to you, you don't want to talk to him, whatever it is, this is your prerogative. Once again, there is no right or wrong. You do not need to be pressured. And if he chooses not to contact you again, you will need a support system. And, my father blocked me, and that was like round, I don't know what, of rejection. And it hurt. And I had a support system with me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gotten through it. Now, sometimes we feel like there's a happily ever after, or those happy families. Well, not everybody gets to have that. Even after you contact your absent parent, this ain't Hollywood. It doesn't always happen that you just create a wonderful relationship with him. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. Not everybody gets a happy family or a happily ever after, because a lot of times that's, yes, TV shows and movies. And, you have the power to choose who you want in your life and who you don't want. I'm not even talking about your dad right now. I am talking in general. Who do you want in your life and who do you not want? That's your prerogative. That is your power. If you want to cut somebody off, do it. I'm sure there's a good reason to. Now, when somebody cuts you off, right? So say meeting your dad, he cut you off, or you chose to cut him off. Either way, it's gonna hurt. You've made a choice not to want to see this person again. It hurts. They chose they don't want to see you again. It hurts. Please get therapy if you need to. Please speak about it, because internalizing trauma and anxiety and depression, when you internalize it, it can literally cause physical repercussions. I'm talking chest pains. I'm talking anxiety. I'm talking headaches. I'm talking like nausea. Things that you suppress emotionally, it comes out on you physically. It really does. Now, you can reach out to support groups. There are some Facebook groups that I'm on. There are, there could be something in your local community center, something that's face-to-face. If you can vent, do it. There are online forums and chats. In Australia, you can contact Beyond Blue, Lifeline, Headspace, reach out. There are all these contacts that you can, reach out to you. And you might feel like, you might be wondering about the what ifs. What if this could have happened? What if that could have happened? And I tell you, reality versus fantasy right now, I do the same thing. Imagine if my dad had done this when I met him. Imagine if this could have happened, and it hasn't. And it is so hard to accept the reality for what it is. I know it is hard. And there will most likely always be a gap in your heart, a void that may not ever be able to be filled. And unfortunately, you have to live with it. And for me, I try and turn my pain into purpose, which is why I am doing this right now. I know I'm going to feel, a bit off once I come off air, but I'm doing this for the greater good, because I want to reach people that might be in this situation, not knowing what to do or what they can do to prepare themselves. Now, you need to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul. Honestly, you do. And reach out if you need support. That is the biggest thing I can say. If I had prepared myself better than what I did going back 5 years ago, I don't know if my story would be different. I don't know if what I'm saying tonight would have been different. But if I had prepared myself, I think I would have dealt with it better at the time at which that things happened. But I acted on an impulse. Acting on an impulse is not always a bad thing. But sometimes, act now, think later, it doesn't benefit you either. So I mean it when I say that I'm here for you. So if there's anybody right now who is going through this, who is like confused about, how am I going to meet my dad? What do I do? What do I say? Where do I go? Reach out to me. There are so many things you can ask him, but there's so many things that you need answers for. So reach out to me. I can help you. I am here for you. So do send me a message. Where is it? Here we go. So I'm on YouTube, Sedate the Poet, Instagram, Sedate_. Now you can send me a message at Conversations with Shalina. Hit me up. If you want to be a guest, you can email shalina@sedate.co. Send me a PM on Facebook. I am here for you. And I hope I have helped you in some way prepare if you are seeing an absent father, or any parents here who are watching who are absent parents who, your kids might want to start seeing their dads sometime soon. Please don't be the reason why they don't get to contact their fathers. If you have resentment towards him, I understand that, but your child should not be suffering because of it. Because as I explained in one of my first videos, not having a dad and the abandonment and the absence can lead to so many mental health issues, and it shapes the way that we see ourselves. We see our self-worth and our self-love. So please don't be the reason why your child feels a lack of self-love or a lack of love in general because you don't want him or her to see their father. That's not right. So please keep that in mind. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.